And sadly, something went awry. And we wound up in a litigation that the builder initiated because of, I guess, the inconsistency in the context of how the land wanted to be used. Again, leaning back to our fiscal constraints, to the depreciation of our property values in terms of our overall wealth, taking into consideration the tax appeals that we're confronted with and are in the process of negotiating, it just didn't appear to me to be good business to not use that piece of property as a potential rateable. And further, I don't think it was a good idea from a financial standpoint when you cost out the price of the litigation versus what we were going to wind up at the end with. Now, one of my colleagues, and I have to quote him because he not only eloquently, but also specifically said, at this point, we have a hole in the ground there. We can spend the money to continue to fight the builder. We paid for an outside expert planner to continue that fight. And at the end, if we won, we wind up with a hole in the ground. If we lose, we wind up with 42 units of housing. Now, I know there's a reference to the blacktopping of that area. I think we have to be consistent. We have a bank there that has a blacktop parking area. We have an office building / daycare center that has a blacktop parking area. We have ball fields, a recreation area that has a blacktop parking area. Parking area that this building will create is not going to be so exaggerated that from an overview of 50 feet in the air, it's going to look like the parking lot somewhere around Giant Stadium. So I think that's kind of an improper illusion when you begin to speak about blacktop and parking and these things. I think what has to be recognized is we are a suburban community, and as a result, we all have cars. And people go to and from in their cars to get to their destination. And when they arrive there, there has to be an accommodation to put that car. So parking is always an issue with no matter what building and no matter where it's built. Bottom line is, it's a fact of our life that we have these benefits. So I feel from a financial aspect, from an aesthetic point of view, this building with these 24 units of residences, again, accommodating, guess what, people that live in these buildings, I think this was a good solution to a very awkward situation in terms of the legislation, or I should say the lawsuit. Thank you.
I like to add, no, I want to add, I like to clarify a point. I think, Mr. Mayor, you make a very nice speech, but I think there's some misnomers in it. First of all, the very last meeting of 2008, of which I participated in prior to taking office, this issue came up in our work session. Our developer filibustered for about 20 minutes, stated that they were not going to do it, they were not going to get involved in it, comes out onto the floor, with the pack full of people here, with the fire department in this whole issue with Whippany Village, He comes out and he starts filibustering again, his lawyer starts filibustering again, and he gets this ordinance approved after it was not approved inside. Okay, that's understandable. I don't begrudge at all, but the very next meeting, it was repealed. So there was no construction, there was nothing started. And as far as a hole in the ground is concerned, I think what you have is a developed area that aesthetically is pleasing. I understand there's certain times you want to do development for housing, but that doesn't mean we have to spot zone and spot housing all over the place. We've got enough spot housing in this town, all right? And I really believe that making that whole thing for Veterans Memorial Park, that building aesthetically is very pleasing. I think it's nice over there. How we can improve it further as a recreational area is my main concern. I can't see shoehorning any units into that space. But nothing has started. Nothing was ever put into the ground, and nothing has, unfortunately, I guess the votes are there. The shovel will go in the ground, but up until then, nothing has ever gone there. And I can't see retention basins moved from the side, put to the front of the building. There's a lot of issues that are involved in it, and I've got the whole blueprint for what it looks like, and when we have our public meeting, I'll present it at that time.
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Thank you,
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor.
I have. Perhaps the reason everyone is referring to this as a hole in the ground is because it is on the side lawn of an office building. It is not a separate lot, and it is the hole in the ground. It is currently a retention basin for the office building. This issue has come before me 3 times for a vote, and every single time I have voted against residential housing being put at that location. We talk about ratables. We talk about how we're tipping more towards the residential paying more of the tax burden than the commercial. We're adding 24 more rental apartments. That's more residential. Now we're even more into residential than commercial, so we need to get more commercial. We don't need more residential. Especially, I think that's probably the highest density zoning will occur over in that piece of property. Also, as far as the legal amounts go, we were given an estimate of the legal amounts, and it's just about the same amount to defend this case and uphold our zoning as it is to decommission a light on Whippany Road. So the legal fees are not very high on this when you do that in comparison to other things that we're spending money on. So I'm against this. I'm against residential housing of any type over there. I'm against having any child live next to those high tension wires, even if it's one child. And what's the benefit? The town will probably get $20,000 in taxes per year. And I did a quick estimate of the mix between 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments and what the current rentals are going for. So the town will get $20,000 in taxes, and the developer will get $560,000 a year in rentals. So that's why he's taking us to court. Thank you.
I think it's important, though, for the record, Township Committee's position, Planning Board's position, is not to measure the developer's value in a capitalistic system. Anybody else?
Okay, hearing none, then may we have a motion on introduction of ordinance 11-2010? So moved by Mr. Sheridan.
Second.
Second by Mr. Ferramosca. Roll call, Mr. Ferramosca.
Aye.
Mr. Schleifer.
Aye.
Ms. Zarate.
No.
Mr. Capola.
No.
And Mr. Sheridan.
Aye.
And we have 3 ayes and 2 nays, and the ordinance is introduced.